done for me lately? It's Coons. What have y'all done for us lately? And if there's no answer, the only thing we owe them.
Hey, welcome to Let's Talk Two. And tonight we have a very, very uh, different type of show than I've done in a while. However, I want to be able to shift some thought, have some different people on the show, and different ideas. And tonight we have a brother by the name of Noble Milton who is running for candidacy for the mayor of Newark, New Jersey. Uh, Noble has come on to have a conversation, not really talk about his candidacy per se, but let everybody know that he's running for the mayor of the city of North New Jersey. But to just have a conversation, two people talking about um, trying to live as we say, the American dream,
Mm.
and try to just have a vision going forward for future generations. And sometimes you don't need to be so as we would say, buttoned up to have these type of conversations. Sometimes you just need to talk and communicate and be able to just be like, okay, you have an interesting idea. Okay, maybe I don't see it that way, but I hear exactly what you're saying, and I could see your vision. So, without further ado, Brother Noble, what's going on?
Hey, Quit, man. Glad to be on here, man. Thank you for having me, man.
Yes. I have a lot of questions for you. Not per
Hmm.
se digging too deep or whatever, but
No, we got to go
um
deep tonight. We're going to go real deep. Don't hold back.
how would you who are you? Let's just start with that one. Who are you?
Well, I'm a lifelong Norker. I'm born in St. Michael's Hospital. Lived here all my life. Had properties here in Newark. Had foreclosures here in Newark. Lost my home. Lost everything. Started my company, gained it back. One of those stories. Have my kids in through all five of them went through Science Park High School. You know, and all brilliant kids. One of my sons is a high score in New Jersey. One out of 75,000 students, got a full ride at MIT. My oldest is a graduate from Rutgers, taught in Newark. Now he's down in DC, two at NJIT, one in science. So I had a full program with my kids alone, as opposed to, and as well as running my own business, and having my wife kind of running the show at home. Um, but over the years, I mean, I was a lifelong Democrat. Everybody knows I'm still friends with all the Democrats. I still go ahead and work with their parties, and you'll see me at their campaigns because I'm friends with them. They're good people. I may not see eye to eye with what they do, and most people in Newark don't see eye to eye with what I do or my beliefs. In fact, the city is what is it right now? We have 56,000 Democrats, maybe 9,000 Republicans, So the city doesn't see eye to eye with me. But the principles that I stand for, they see very clearly what I stand for. They see the things that are going on in the city. They see the new buildings going up that they can't afford to live in. They see these jobs coming in, and that they are not qualified for whether you're a software engineer or some kind of computer science engineer. It's not for our city. And this really disrupted the fact that when I started realizing, wow, we have more blacks left the city of Newark in the last 8 years than in almost the history of Newark. Like, what happened here? What happened with this gentrification? How come nobody's stopping this? How come it's continuing and nobody's putting a stop to it? And I'm looking to the left, looking to the right. Everybody in the Democrat side, their hands are tied because they're tied to the machine, as you know. Ross, I think I was talking to you earlier. I said Ross came in with a good heart as a mayor. He came in with a good plan and very genuinely wanted to make Newark, and he was doing. He started it. They tied his hands up. Said, nah, Ross, you.
Oh, excuse me, you guys. He dropped for a second. Excuse me, you guys. Noble will be right back. Hold on. Hold on. That's crazy. He dropped, right? You guys? Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Wow.
You see
Sorry
that?
about that, guys.
No, that's not you. That was the machine. They they over here, they over here in Essex
Hey,
County cutting our feed.
got
See,
that
you
right.
can't be
Now,
speaking. You can't be speaking the truth, man. That's what happens. They're watching. They're like, "Oh, cut that feed. Hurry up, man. Get rid of that quitting man."
as you were
but
saying,
that's
brother,
what I'm saying is we have all the politicians under one umbrella, and it's not for the purpose of making Newark better. That umbrella, they portray that, but they have managed to again hire their constituents. So when you see the people knocking on the doors, they're not voters. Those are Essex County employees who are knocking. And they have to. They want to keep their job. That's what they're hired for. They're not hired to work, an actual job. They're actually here as campaign constituents. That's all they are. And
hmm
it's sad. It's sad that we don't have a fair ground to play on. It's me against them, me against the world, basically. You know, it's like I don't have a chance to win this race. But if people get to hear the truth and they get to balance and have real votes, they're going to vote for me hands down. They're going to say, man, Noble's speaking the truth. Noble's talking about exactly what I'm talking about. They're building all these buildings, promising low income, right? What is it? 25% of these new builds supposed to be low income. You know how to get around that? They make the median income $150,000. That's the medium. Now they got to get the low income to consider, well, it's the median of that, 75. People are not making that kind of money. They can't afford a $2,800 one bedroom, and it's time and time again you see this. And then you see how come they have given all the tax abatements to developers and no tax abatements to manufacturers. It's not a sustainable system. You understand? We are not bringing jobs here for the regular people. We are pushing out regular Norkers. Like I said
Mm.
before, we have
What?
never seen more blacks leave the city of Newark, including yourself, as you said. We've never seen more black families leave because it's just not affordable to them. This is not. It's a system that was designed to push. And you know what? They're going to be out here campaigning saying, "Oh no, that's not true. That's not true. We're doing all this for you. Look at all these things we're doing for you." And they're going to dance in the street. They're going to try to do everything they can to get your vote, and it's going to work. because people are just, I don't understand it. People are just blind. I'm like, what is that definition of insanity? To repeat the same course and expect a different outcome. Is that what we're seeing? I'm realistically, man. Let me ask you that. You see these people, they know the truth. They know I'm going to vote for this person, and I'm not going to get nothing different than what I've been getting for the last 25 years. But I'm going to still vote for him. You tell me that's not insanity.
I think one of the issues, and before we really get, where you want there, I think one of the issues is that we tend to think that struggle is normal. Struggle to
Hmm.
rebuild, struggle to be in affordable situations.
Yep.
We think that's normal. So,
Hmm.
like you said, a person can't afford a one bedroom $2,800 a month apartment.
Mm-mm.
They just can't afford it. And
No.
the reality is that we'll say, "Oh, I'll get through. I'll get by."
Hmm.
As the old phrase that many of us grew up on is,
Mm.
"I'll rob Peter to pay Paul. I'll make a way." But the
Yep.
reality is that when you continue to be behind that 8 ball,
Hmm.
30,
That's
40
exactly right.
years, and you may have a very, very good job of staying and try to, as they say, make it better for your children than you
Hmm.
had it. And it's like you like a dog chasing your tail because it's never changing. It's never going
Mm-mm.
nowhere. It's not
No.
changing your
The poverty
situation.
the poverty level has remained a consistent line for 75 years. And when it goes down a little bit too much, they'll help the people out, and they'll pick them up a little bit. Like if a mom, she's on the system, she's getting Section 8, getting food stamps, getting all the things she needs. She goes ahead and gets herself a part-time job. Now she has income coming in. They start to remove her off the program. And now that she's back to zero, back to square one, because they have to maintain this level of poverty. And I wrote a thing called Profit and Poverty. I don't know if you ever read it, but it's by design. Everything you see, this poverty level remaining consistent, like for a perfect line for 75 years. You think it's happenstance? No, that's a design of the system, a perfect
Yeah.
design of the system that people don't talk about. And you as hit it right on the nose. You said people are complacent. They're comfortable with that. That's just how it is. The struggle is this is how struggle is. That's I'm gonna keep voting for it because that's what I know. Not realizing that maybe a person like me can come in, dismantle this system, rebuild it from the ground up, rebuild it starting from manufacturing, starting from regular jobs with regular people who live in our city. Sustainable. We have half of downtown vacant right now. All the stores gone. What are we doing with that? What they're probably going to do? They're probably going to sell it off to developers. That's probably what they're planning to do because you get all these beautiful tax abatements. So the developers make out well. They don't got to pay property tax for 20 years. Who picks up that tab? The people who live in Newark. And if you are renting from a building and you think, oh, that doesn't affect you, yes, it does affect you because that building tax is going to go up and that's going to get transferred to you as more rent. So you are literally voting for your own demise. When you vote for the system that's continual in the city, you are voting for your own demise. You are literally a suicidal voter.
So let me ask you, with that, this all of this, knowing this stuff, and
Mhm.
knowing growing up in Newark, and like you
Yep.
said, St. Michael's, you brought back memories. Even bringing up St. Michael's to me,
Mm.
I remember as a
Okay.
kid, everybody always talked about St. Michael's Hospital. Uh, this is what inspired you to be like, you know what? I've been around politics. I've helped out campaigns. Let
Mhm.
me decide to run. This is what inspired you to run.
The flight of blacks leaving Newark is what inspired me to run. That's specifically that. When I saw good families, I helped several families trying to help them get in touch with the DCA in order for rental assistance programs. I'm learning. I was learning how to help them out. I'm calling up and figuring out how can we get emergency funding. Temporary rental assistance, the TRAs, and things of that nature. Because you go down to the courthouse, you don't see. Um, you see one group of people getting evicted. You go down there, it's a line, people waiting in line and get evicted. And you hear the cases after case, losing their job, the rent's gone up. Some of the rents went up astronomical. And this is mostly single moms getting evicted. It's just a tragedy. And the fact is, New Jersey has spent $7.9 billion on those who are not from New Jersey. Why have we
Mm.
neglected those who are our flesh and blood brothers and sisters in our city? Why have we neglected them to the point where they're homeless, literally waiting for a spot in the shelter? That's a real deal right now. You want names. I got families that are willing to come out here and probably talk to you about that and tell their story. Maybe the story will invoke somebody to actually vote the right way to make a real change in the city, as opposed to perpetuating the system that is condemned now, that is just pushing out hardworking people out of our city, people who are trying their best to hold on to the little that they have. And that's what I'm hoping we do that.
To listen to somebody, like I told you, I don't live in the area anymore.
Yeah,
However, I kind of know certain things that's going on, but to even listen to you speak about it, it appears that all the wards are really struggling. You used to hear
everyone.
that
Yep.
certain wards were
Mm-mm.
doing better. So all
Yep.
the wards are particularly really struggling right now with affordability.
Absolutely, absolutely, every single one.
Wow.
Um, it's sad to that point, and nobody talks about it. It's a well kept secret of how many black families have left the city of Newark. You know, and we have more new people that are in our city today. And over the last 5 years, hundreds of new families moved in, and those jobs that are down in, whether it's the Panasonic building, Prudential, Audible, whatever corporation down there, those are not Newark residents working there. Who told you that? That's not. Those new buildings weren't built for you, Norkers. You know. Oh, you thought that was for you? You thought that was for you? They thought these buildings were for you? Oh, you can't even come here to wash the windows. You know,
Mm,
it's
mm.
that
Now,
sad.
now you're definitely speaking to reality, and like you
Mhm.
said, the downtown area alone, they're not going to continue to allow those vacant buildings. And then you
Yep.
have the potential down there. They're going to wind up selling them to developers who are going to put up apartments and not
Yep.
no companies and stuff like that. It's not going to bring no money into the city of Newark. It's
Yes.
basically going to make money for these developers who don't got to pay rent. I know it was a big thing about the building on Elizabeth Avenue. Oh my
Hmm.
goodness! And
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
that building, I know a lot of people spoke about that and
Mhm.
having a studio that's uh, what is it, Lionsgate, that's going to be coming to Newark soon.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Hmm. And all those Lionsgate jobs are already spoken for. The people who are working for Lionsgate are moving here. So here you go again with the carrot in front of the horse, saying, "Hey, we got some jobs. Jobs are coming, man. They're coming." Yes. Do you see how the system works? They tell you the truth. Jobs are coming. Housing is coming, but not for you. That's the part they leave out. And that's the funny thing. Like when Ross was out here talking about, look at all these new buildings we're putting up here. We're going to put up all these buildings, and we're going to be bringing these jobs in. Not one Norker was working on those buildings. Not one worker. Not one worker who lives in Newark was working on those buildings. None of those buildings. You may have had a contractor from Newark, and those contractors are from Newark, and I know a couple. I don't want to say no names, but they don't. Their workers are not from Newark. The company is. They get to keep the company in the city because, hey, that's a good business. You get minority work. You're a DBE, disadvantaged business enterprise, a WBE. You get all these accolades for being a in city contractor, and that's as far as it goes, as for name only, but not for reality of hiring Newark citizens. It's a scam deal. You know.
let me ask you, because I know that politicians, as they say, New Jersey has a very interesting political apparatus that really is not supposed to be involved with Board of Education,
Mm,
which we know that's neither here nor there, and that is not true. We always know it's
mm,
a conflict of interest,
yep.
and people have their people involved with the Board of Education. How do you want to address that? Uh, Dealing with the Board of Education, like being able to say, for
Mm,
example, a 12-year-old that's trying to figure it out,
mm,
trying to understand, like yourself, that wants to say, you know what, I like what the older gentleman is speaking.
Yeah.
Help me understand the vision as a very younger person. We're going to school, getting
Mhm.
educated, getting a good job, and then coming back to the city of Newark and being able to play my part.
Let's go to square one. Let me ask you a crazy question. How much do you think it costs for one student in the city of Newark to go to school? What do you think the taxpayers pay for one student in the city of Newark? Just take a random guess.
Mm, one
Good question,
student.
isn't
Yeah. Yeah. It's
it?
got to be close to probably 35, 40.
Damn, you're right on the money. $35,000. You're right, spot on, man. $35,000 to send one student. We have a school budget right now of about $1.57 billion for set aside for Newark students. 13,000 of that goes to the teachers themselves per student. We have 5,000 administrative, another 5,000 in maintenance and other items, and a bunch of other little stuff that's in there. But I want you to understand something here. We have a fiscal budget for the municipality of about $1 billion, almost about 960 million. That money, let me explain to you how this works. And you know public works. And if you don't, I want to educate everybody out there how does public work. In order for me to give that person $1 of service, it's going to cost the city $2 on top of that one to get that person, whether it's housing, whether it's food stamps, some kind of assistance. And this is the ongoing thing. Same thing with the school administration. Same thing with everything you see. Remember when we got $100 million from Facebook? Remember that? You got a lot of money, right? You know, about half of that money went to administrative fees. I think they paid a group of how are we going to spend this money? They probably had a party. So listen, we need a $10,000 party to figure out how we're going to spend this 100 million. But this is the nonsense that is continually going. We are in such a deficit, and it continues because what are we doing? We are growing the government. We are growing. We have all these new jobs people are getting in our county, in our city, because again, they're hiring their constituents. And the Democrat Party is growing, and people are more loyal now because they want to keep their job. You understand? This is the system we're dealing with. And nobody's talking about this. Nobody wants to talk about the truth. You know, all my friends working. I know them all. I know they all work for the city, and they're all out here knocking on doors because they need to keep their job. I'm not making friends here. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to really flip the table and start from zero. Start from learning how to control administrative fees, control when it comes to housing, welfare, food stamps. The amount of money it takes to get people help is astronomical. It could be streamlined a lot better than what it is today. But unfortunately, it's controlled under Essex County. So Newark's hands are tied. What do you do with that? And here's a kick. I was talking about this a couple times. You're familiar with Port Authority. You're familiar with the Newark
Hmm.
Airport, right?
Hmm.
Um, Back in 2019, we had Ross, we had Joe DiVincenzo, we had Phil Murphy all get together. To, hey, we got these lead water pipes we got to change out in the city of Newark. How are we going to do this? And Port Authority comes up and says, well, hey, Port Authority, listen, we need some more money from you to cover these pipes in Newark. So, okay, we're going to give you $5 million a year for 30 years. And we're going to start, here's $5 million up front. You got to remember, this 10 million square feet of waterfront property they own. And we're getting $5 million and some other lease. And this is the thing, that lease goes to like 2070. Think about that. This is money that was spent to go to Newark. It gets better. Joe D was like, wait a second here. I need some of that money. I'm going to loan Newark $120 million to fix your lead pipe.
Milton dropped again, you guys. Remember, the best way to support the channel is to like, share, subscribe. Hopefully, Milton will come back on. Uh, and we'll finish. We'll definitely continue our conversation, you guys. Just remember. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, see
Go ahead.
that?
Go ahead. You know,
See that?
I truly apologize. Hey, listen. We know what that's about. We know what that's about.
You don't got that Obama cell phone, do you?
But you were mentioning the
let me
Port
yeah, let me
Authority.
reiterate what I was saying here. So we have Port Authority paying Newark rent money, $5 million for whatever. That money doesn't go to Newark at all. It goes straight to the Essex County. Essex County loaned Newark $120 million to cover the cost of the lead pipe program in Newark here. All the lead pipes coming into the homes, about 18,000 homes. But there's an interest rate. So the money we get from Port Authority barely covers the interest on a $120 million loan that we're never going to pay back. That's just interest for the life of Essex County. Joe D's like, here we go. Like, come on. And Norcas, nobody knows this, right? Norcas don't. You think Norcas are talking about this? Nobody ain't talking about this. I'm talking about it because it's robbing the citizens of rent money we could be getting from Port Authority. Am I coming through?
And the reality is that when you say that, yeah, you're good.
All
It's
right.
muffling a little bit, but we're good. The
Okay.
reality of what you're saying is that Port Authority would have no problem paying good rent money neither. They got it. Port Authority got it. They ain't broke.
Mhm.
They're making money hand over fist.
There needs to be an audit
So
because
let
there's
me
something
let me
happened.
ask you,
Let
like,
me hold on
how?
real quick. Let's stick on this. Something happened because for them to settle for that little bit of money from the Port Authority, there's some kind of deal Port Authority made with somebody else in the background that we need to dig deep and find out. We're going to find that out, and we're going to dig deep. We're going to pull an audit. We're going to pull a public record audit. Pay a couple of whatever $45 it takes to get the public records, and we're going to find out exactly what's transpiring. Who was promised? And it's between Phil Murphy, Joe DiVincenzo, and Ross Baraka. Who was promised a backdoor deal with the Port Authority? We need to find that out.
Mm, wow, I never knew. I never knew about some of the stuff. And when you speak about the infrastructure,
Mhm.
uh, are the police under a new contract yet? I know it was an issue with the law enforcement under a new contract at one time.
I still think they're still dealing with the COLA wage act, and I think if they're going to sign with that, I think then they might have a signed contract.
Wow. So let me ask you, brother Noble,
Hmm.
with all these mountains of issues, how would you first tackle? What would you tackle first? What would you think would be the best way to first to tackle everything?
First of all, we our hands are tied because Essex County controls a lot of the public assistance, and because of that, the city of Newark, their hands are tied. Our hands are tied. So we can't control the administration and all the buildings all the rents that we're paying to those owners. We can't control that. So until we start making this public, start making people aware of how we're being robbed, how taxpayers are being the dollars are being squandered on administrative fees just to pay $1 to a person. We got to pay $2 on top of that. And if we don't start showing and maybe start removing it from Essex County, start bringing it local, you know, and start keeping the money somehow. I don't know how to do this. I have to figure this out. But the problem is, our money goes into the cloud, and they do whatever they want with it. The funny thing is, even the money we got from the 5 million, they was started double talking. They were like, "Well, we don't really have to pay the loan back. We didn't say it was for the loan. The Essex County $120 million. Now that's the actual rhetoric that was going on. I'm like, whoa, wait a second. You had all three of them: Phil Murphy, Joe DiVincenzo, Ross Park had a public meeting at a podium on Channel 4 News. Yeah, we got this 120 million to streamline the repairs in the streets. Joe is the hero. And all of a sudden, a couple months later, well, we didn't really have to. We're not really going to give the 5 million to pay the loan back. Is that what you heard? And it's like,
Yeah,
wow, man.
I noticed one thing. I sometimes will listen to the city council meetings,
Mhm.
and I hear a lot of the residents talking, and I know we hear this word transparency a lot,
Mm.
and it just from the outside looking in, it just seems like the
Hmm.
council members and or the mayor are very dismissive towards the residents. It's like
Hmm. Of course they
nobody,
are.
as we would say, getting in the mud with the residents and saying, "Look, we're here with you to help you to make Newark a better
Hmm.
place for all of us to live." It's like I got to talk to you like you're at the Eiffel Tower, and you
Hmm.
don't, you don't need me because it's not
They
election
don't.
time.
Mhm.
Mm.
They really have a system where they don't need to hear from the voters. They really don't need to hear anything you got to say. They really don't, and they're going to win.
Let me ask you because
Hmm.
as a lifelong Norker,
Yeah, of
at one time it wasn't like this. Explain
course it
that.
wasn't.
Explain how you were raised, and it was basically a lot of transparency. You used to be able to go right up. I want to talk to the mayor,
Hmm. Oh,
and
the
they'll
mayor
let you
was in
right up
the
in the talk.
in the streets all the time. Even Sharp James, he was out there, doing his thing. Always. Ross is out there. He's out there too all the time. But he's under the command of his puppet masters. His hands
Yeah.
are tied. He knows it. He admits it in public. He'll tell you. Look at some videos of him talking. He's straight up. Yeah, there's only like one or two really in charge, and he's under that. He can't do anything about it. You
Wow.
understand? And it's not just
Wow.
him. It's everybody in politics in the city of Newark. There's no Republicans running. It's a joke to run as a Republican in the city of Newark. I know that. I'm a realist. You know. And but the thing
Wow.
is, I serve a higher God. You know, and I serve a God that's designed to create miracles, something out of nothing. You know, people laugh at what I do and say, "Hey, this guy nobody ain't got no chance." They said it about a lot of people, but you know what? I think people are waking up. I see more people like talking about actual things that are like, oh, wait a second, this party wasn't meant for us. It was never meant for us. It was always designed to keep people down. You know.
That's one of the things, and like you said, historically,
Mhm.
when you start to pull the layers back and you start to understand what party, for
Mhm.
lack of better words, has been beneficial and really been instrumental in upward movement,
Yeah.
you start to really see, like, yo, I see why things are the way they are. You're
Hmm.
dealing with they always say, uh, "Oh, you're using Republican talking points when you talk about the major
Hmm.
cities in America
Hmm.
are controlled by Democrats,"
Yeah.
and people get upset when you say that.
Hmm.
But that's reality and it's the truth. And it's like, okay, well, let's change these inner cities. Let's
Yeah.
do something that's going to be positive and not have, as for a lot of the younger people, the deck is stacked against them. I mean, when you talk about that affordability situation in housing,
Hmm.
I, I'm quite sure the younger people are like, yo, I'll never get out of here. And if I do get out of here,
Yep.
I got to get out of here when I'm young and never come back.
Let me share this with you. The politicians that we see today saw the flight of blacks waking up 10 years ago. Hence the reason for the open borders, hence the reason for sanctuary states and sanctuary cities. They already foreseen that the blacks are going to wake up. They're going to see that this party can no longer be, we're not going to get the vote automatically. So what do? We do is we create an influx of people that change the electoral college votes. As you know, when you get a census and you puff up that area with a bunch of people, that area now has a stronger electoral vote. And it did this with every single city in America. And they don't care about the people that are there. They don't care anything about it. As long as there's a head in there, and I go to that house, and how many people got in this house? 12 people? Okay. Well, now this district has, oh, here's 15 more electoral college votes. Even though illegals and migrants do not vote, they count.
Yeah, definitely, and that's the reason why, and I'm glad they did it. Is they're really trying to do something
Excuse
different
me.
with the census, and replacement theory is real, and a lot of people thought
Mhm.
that it was some paranoia, or you just being paranoid. No,
Yep.
we are being replaced,
Oh, yeah.
and they're using the illegals or people who want asylum. And as long as you come in the country legally, it's no problem. They using that to replace and basically force us out. It is a fight for resources. Make no
Yep.
mistake.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
let me ask you, let's talk about your community service, man, and being involved with the
Mhm.
shelters. I want to talk about that. What brought that about?
That was a while back. We've been for 16 years now, I guess. The first thing was we worked with it was called Seven Sources Shelter. It was a women's shelter in Newark here before COVID, and these are women. Some of the women were pregnant women. The program started with a woman named Kathy DiFiore, who's basically trying to assist women who were having abortions. Says, hey, listen, there's an alternate way of doing things other than having an abortion. You cannot afford that child. We'll give you a place and we'll help you raise that child. And I love the program so much. Me and my wife got involved with it, so we were sharing work at the shelter. The company I work with funded a truck to help with the sonograms for women to help the give them a chance to see the child before they choose to abort the child. And this is obviously that makes me a pro lifer, you know. And people say, "Oh, you're about taking away women's rights." It's like, no, no, I'm about giving the rights to the child to live. You know, I think is that wrong?
Yeah,
You know, and then you know all that. I started working with the halfway homes in Newark. People transitioning out of prison. And my heart really started when I started working about 15 years ago, 16 years ago with at Penn Station. We were working as contractors on Track 5, Platform D, and we had to basically redo the whole platform, do all the upper girders, and we would start Friday night at midnight. We would work all weekend until Monday morning 5 a.m. So the tracks came back on, and every single day I had to step over dozens of people, and and the majority of them were actually like couldn't speak. They were mentally handicapped. You know, I have a handicapped brother. He can't speak. He's autistic. He hasn't spoken since he was 18 months. And when I'm seeing these people, it's like as if I'm talking to my own family, my own brother. Like seeing my brother on the street, and it's like, what does the Bible say? Jesus says, "What you do to the least of these people, you do to me." So here I am, calling myself a Christian, thinking I'm doing good because I go to church and I talk about God every once in a while, and I'm thinking I'm doing all these things, and I come to realize I'm doing nothing. I'm the biggest hypocrite in the Bible. That here I am, and here these people are that are suffering on the streets, and here I'm going to church and doing whatever and neglecting the least that Jesus was speaking about. These are the ones that Jesus was speaking about. Those who were coming out of prison. So I started trying to talk to the people at the halfway homes. One of the guys, Julio, runs the Cornerstone Prison Ministry. I gave an opportunity to work with him a little bit, and he's still in the trenches fighting the good fight, helping people who are coming out of the worst of situations to transition back to society. And this is where my heart is at. I can't stand seeing what so many people who are on our streets who or don't have the mental capability of a child, and we're just stepping over them. I was stepping over them. I had to go to work. I had to go step over and get up the stairs and get onto the track 5 to get to work. And I'm like, Lord, help me understand this. Why is this happening? Why are these people here on the streets? We had people freezing to death in New York City. And I thank God we don't have anybody. Hope nobody died here in the city of Newark. I didn't hear about anybody, but it happens.
yeah. I used to come through Penn Station and to go to and from work, and I will honestly say I'm one of them kids that my mother raised me on public transportation. I learned how to ride the bus, the
Hmm.
services, get to the city, and to see how Penn Station has changed
Hmm.
over the years. It's definitely a sight to see, good and
Yep.
bad.
Hmm.
And like you said, just understanding that Penn Station on up the hill area
Hmm.
of how it could and still can be such a vibrant city with the arena down there. the vision that a lot of people had.
Yeah.
You know, it could be as Sharp James used to say, Nork on the rise, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
that vision can still be manifest. So let me ask you, man, what do you want to leave us with before we close out and really get us to
What?
understand
Yeah.
and get people to really really see what's going on?
My thing is to stop the hemorrhaging of our city, and that is those who are in the courts right now, who are being evicted, those who don't have a chance to stay in their homes, who are we have foreclosures on the rise. So many things are happening behind the scenes, and everybody's doing a great job keeping it covered up. And we got us fighting each other over nonsense, absolute nonsense. He did this and this and this. Oh, this, oh, ICE and all these other things that have nothing to do with the black community. And the thing about it is, if we don't take care of the least in this city, we have failed to create a solid foundation for what we want to build on. So if you want to make a city great, let's start with the least in the city. Let's really start going and creating a real system that starts from the bottom up, a real build. Just like any kind of build, let's give it a solid foundation, things that can actually make it a real change. Because we as a city would become blessed when we start helping these people. Really, don't we build these buildings up for people who are not from Newark? Yeah, how many thousand, maybe tens of thousands of apartments built now, and we still have people on the street. You know,
I remember
am
it
I
was
am
a
I
big thing.
crazy?
I remember it was a big thing when Baxter Terrace got sold.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I believe
Yeah,
one of those buildings are in the Smithsonian now. Have you heard about that?
really, that's
Yeah,
good. That's
yeah,
good.
yeah.
That's good. But man, look, great to have you on, man, and
Absolutely, man.
we look forward to bringing you back, man, because I know we wanted to probably skipped over some things, but I did. You definitely have given me a lot of information.
Hmm.
I have some other people that's plugged in with the city that tell me a lot, and
Yeah.
understanding what's going on because sometimes all you hear about is the violence and this, that,
Hmm.
and the third. But like you said, the reality is that there is a long line of people
Hmm.
at eviction court. Um,
Absolutely, man.
and we know how those landlords are that don't want to turn the heat and
Hmm.
hot water on and all this
That's
old
right.
crazy stories
Hmm.
that we hear. So I
Yeah.
really really appreciate you coming on, man, and look forward to us having
I'm telling you,
continued.
man, you're gonna hear about me. I'm coming through the city like a whirlwind. People are like, "Oh, who is this noble?" You're gonna know who I am because, like I said, I'm a big guy. I can take out a couple men.
Definitely, definitely. So
Yeah,
appreciate everybody that joined us in the chat, man, and look out for Brother Noble. He's there. He's in the
absolutely, man.
community. He's been part of campaigns before, and he's going to try to shake the table, flip the table over. Let's just say
Flip the
that.
table, man.
And
Flip that table.
you know,
Yep.
at the least, let's always say that he is someone who knows what's going on, and we need to really open up our eyes about being replaced and being able to just live. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, is so much overspending, like he said, over government,
Hmm.
city just hemorrhaging money that it's basically going to go bankrupt eventually. Um,
Of course.
so we'll
We had
see.
a surplus. We had a
Until
surplus 4 years ago. Think about that. That was just 4 years ago. We had a surplus.
and
Gone. It's gone. You know.
with that, folks, we need to figure out where it's at.
That's
Until
right.
then, take care.
done for me lately? It's Coons. What have y'all done for us lately? And if there's no answer, the only thing we owe them